Learn English through stories. Chapter 8. Lepers and Landmines. Diana helped many charities. And she always talked to ordinary people and listened to them. Sometimes she hugged them, too. People wanted to meet her because she was famous and rich and beautiful. But they loved her because she was ordinary, like them. She was an ordinary young mother. She took their hands and hugged their children. Sometimes she sat on their beds and laughed with them like a young schoolgirl. In Africa, she visited hospitals for lepers. Lepers are very ill, and many people are afraid of them. But Diana wasn't afraid. She touched the lepers and talked to them. They are ordinary people, too, she said. They need help and love. In Calcutta, she visited Mother Teresa's hospital for children. Many of these children have no home and no mother or father. Diana sat down and talked to them, too. People loved her because of this. And when Diana visited the hospitals, the photographers took photographs for the newspapers and magazines. So people learned about the hospitals and began to give money to them. In 1997, Diana learned about landmines. Landmines are a cheap and easy weapon, and people use them all over the world. You put them under the ground, and when people walk on them, sometimes years later, they explode. Sometimes people die, but more often they lose a foot or a leg. Very often, young children stand on landmines when they are playing. Diana wanted to help these people, and she wanted to stop landmines, too. First she went to Angola, then she went to Bosnia. She visited people and listened to them. People must stop making these landmines, she said. There is nothing good about them. We don't need bad things like this in the world. And as usual, the photographers and TV cameramen took photographs of her, and the TV and newspaper people talked about her. All over the world, people began to say, "We don't need landmines. We must stop this." People listened to Diana because she was beautiful and famous. And so she helped people. Chapter 9. The accident. But many of the photographers were not interested in landmines. They were interested in Diana's men friends. After Bosnia, Diana went to the Mediterranean. She stayed with a rich man called Dodi Al-Fayed. They were very happy, but photographers followed them all the time. In September 1997, Diana and Dodi went to Paris. First they went to the Ritz Hotel to eat. The photographers waited for them in the street. At midnight, Diana and Dodi got into a black Mercedes car. They wanted to go to Dodi's house. Two of Dodi's men were with them. Some photographers followed them, and the driver of the car wanted to get away from them. But he went very fast, perhaps 160 kilometers an hour, and the black Mercedes had a bad accident. Dodi and the driver, Henri Paul, died in the car. Diana died 2 hours later in hospital. A week later, more than 1 million people came to London to remember Diana. Nearly all of them carried flowers. They put thousands of flowers in front of Diana's home, Kensington Palace. Diana's brother and her 2 sons, William and Harry, followed Diana's body along the streets of London. Prince Charles and the Queen's husband, Prince Philip, walked with them. Hundreds of charity workers followed behind them. The Queen watched them go. People watched and cried. They listened to Elton John's song, "Goodbye, England's Rose." Then Diana's brother talked about his sister. "Diana helped many people," he said. "She helped people with no homes, and people with no legs because of landmines. She helped lepers and people with AIDS. She liked to help unhappy people because she was often unhappy too." Diana's brother was angry with the photographers. "They always followed her," he said. "She was never alone. And the newspapers often said bad things about her, too. I don't know why. Perhaps they are afraid of good people." Diana's body is on an island in the middle of a lake near Althorpe House. Her brother does not want hundreds of people to visit her there or take photographs. She can sleep quietly there. But sometimes her brother and her sons, William and Harry, come to visit her.